Oh, welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so happy you are here.
I'm glad to be here.
And
Thanks
before,
for having me.
actually, who do I have in front of me?
Bunny.
Bunny,
Bunny.
the one and only.
Yes, Bunny with an eye.
Oh, with an eye, excuse me. This is a blessing to have you come in. You came all the way in from Texas.
Yep, yep.
Texas, Texas, Texas. Well, everybody has a story, Bunny.
Mm-hmm.
Let me hear a little bit of yours. What revs you up? What wakes you up in every day? What's your passion? Talk to me. Give me something. We're going in deep.
Um,
We're jumping into the deep end.
Shoot, what's my passion? I have many passions, many hobbies. So I feel like maybe it's not one hobby, it's more so the idea of like making my inner child happy.
Hell yeah. And
Yeah.
I support that.
Yep, yep,
That's what brings us here.
yep. That's why we're here.
And with your inner child, it brings eight wheels, not four like mine.
Yep.
We're beating around the bush. You know you like to roller skate a little bit.
Yes, I love roller skating.
Roller skating, huh?
Yep, that's probably the current highlight of my life right now. Yep, and it has been for a couple years. hmm
What got you into it?
Um, I'm gonna be so real. I've never really talked about this on my page before. I've been super open about it. It's more like close friends that know. But I was going through a really, really difficult time. My last year of college, I was going through an abusive relationship. I finally got out of that, and while I was dealing with that, it was in the midst of COVID when all of my friends had moved away from Austin. My family was all already halfway across the globe. No one was really around. I didn't have like a support system around me. It was just me, my German Shepherd Dwight, and I was like, what can I do to try to pull myself out of this funk? And so I bought a pair of roller skates on a whim. Had no idea if I would like it or not. Sounds really cheesy, but from the first day that I tried them on, and I still have that video on my page, it's the first video on my Instagram. Um, from the first moment I tried those skates on, I was like, wow, this feels like such a release. I feel so free. And the act of me, like the first day I started skating, I think I skated for like 3 hours, didn't know what I was doing, was falling on my ass every couple seconds. But the act of falling down and picking myself back up, and that really manifested itself in every facet and every way. It wasn't just physical anymore. It helped me actually pick myself back up. Yeah.
Well, how old were you when you started this?
Um, oh my
Doesn't sound
God.
like you were a little kid.
No, I was not a little kid. It was just a couple years ago. I want to
Oh,
say,
geez.
yeah, I want to say this is like my fifth year skating, question mark, I think. Yeah, I think I started in 2020, I want to say, around that time.
Wow. See, it's
Yeah.
addictive.
Yeah, it is.
Wow. Well, let's go back to being a kid. What was it like being a kid?
Oh man, it was weird. I grew up an only child. Dad wasn't really around that much physically. My mom was, but definitely a very big gap between us because culturally, um, and my parents are both immigrants from China, so there's lots of differences there. So it was kind of lonely growing up, actually, a lot for me. Yeah.
Not a lot of friends, things like that going on for school?
No, I did, but we moved around a lot when I was little, like growing up. So it was like as soon as I feel like I found a best friend or like a little group of friends, maybe, it was time to pick up and leave again.
What were some of the
So,
places you lived?
I was born in Virginia. We moved to San Francisco, moved to Clear Lake, Texas, then Pearland, Texas, Shanghai, then back to Houston. Yeah, and then I moved to Austin for college.
What was your dad, a hitman? Dad, Liam Neeson? Jesus.
Shoot, he might as well have been. He wasn't around too
Oh,
much.
man.
Yeah.
Oh, well, out of all those places, what was the most interesting place you've lived at then? You said
Oh,
Shanghai? I was
Shanghai,
going to
for
say,
sure. For sure. It was amazing. Those were probably like some of the best years of my life. Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Jeez.
And it was amazing to like reconnect with my culture. I remember this is going to sound so ignorant, but growing up in America, even though I'm the child of like immigrant parents from China, I remember still vividly when we got the news that we were going to move to Shanghai. and I was like so devastated. I was thinking like, oh my God, we're gonna like move into like a little teepee hut. Like, what is this gonna look like? Yeah, because of all like the propaganda in America against like China and stuff, And then we moved there, and I'm like, wow, this is
This is Best
actually
Buy.
this is
This looks like a Best Buy.
I'm like, this is like New York City, but better,
What? How old were you when you lived in Shanghai?
Um, I want to say we were there from, I think I was in fourth grade through seventh grade.
Oh, so you were old enough to like get it, like
Yeah,
to remember that and appreciate it. That's
yeah,
awesome.
yep,
What?
yep. Truly appreciate it. And like, I went to international school there, but we were required to take a Mandarin class every day. And, I have been speaking Chinese since I was little, and I really appreciate my parents for, especially my mom, for forcing me to like learn because it's a great tool to have now. But when I was in Shanghai, I truly, you know, put my Mandarin to the test. So living there, I was able to like write, read, everything.
What? So you
Yeah.
still speak it to this day?
Yeah. I still speak it to this
Get
day.
out of
Yeah, I'm
here.
fluent.
What?
Yeah.
Damn. Shit, I don't need no Duolingo, nothing.
Get with it. Come on. I'll give you some
Yo,
Mandarin lessons sometime.
yo, that's crazy. I
Yeah.
bet you ever just like sometimes people are talking that and you just kind of bust out a little bit. Like, let me just chime in. Excuse me, sir.
You know,
I would do it.
I
I'd
used to do that
flex.
sometimes in Shanghai because like I feel like they can tell when you weren't born there, so even though I seeing the way that I look, they're like, okay, yeah, she's clearly, Chinese, but maybe it's the way that I talk or present myself or dress, but like some people would think that I was a tourist still. And so I would bust out my Mandarin and they'd be like,
Whoa.
what the fuck? She can speak fluently. She doesn't even have an accent.
Have you been back since?
Yeah, yeah, I have. But it's hard to be around or visit family as much as I was able to when I lived in Shanghai because, it's just a short flight away instead of like halfway across the world. Yeah,
Whoa.
yeah.
That's crazy.
Yep.
And now you're in Los Angeles.
No, no, I'm in Los Angeles. I actually didn't want to move back. That sounds crazy from Shanghai because it was a whole different life there and you feel so safe everywhere too. You didn't have a curfew even as a kid too. Yeah,
You
it's a
just
whole
guys was
different world out there.
outside. What?
Yeah, just outside. We'd be biking on the highways, dude, in the middle of the night.
What?
Yeah,
That sounds like so much fun.
yeah, it was a fucking blast. Yep.
Oh, what made you have to put that to the end? They bring you back to the States.
Oh, how did I feel when I came back to the States?
I mean, that's such a switch. Like, okay, you're in
Yeah.
Shanghai, and it's like you went from Shanghai to what, San Francisco after that?
No, so San Francisco was when I was like really little. I don't even remember that. Maybe like 3 years old or something like that. It was Virginia, San Francisco, Clear Lake, Pearland, Shanghai, and then came back to Houston.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Shanghai to Houston.
Yeah, that's,
A little bit
oh
of a switch.
man, it's a devastating switch. I love Houston, but it's a devastating
Oh
switch.
my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Talk about a cultural switch.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. I like Texas though. They're all right.
No, I love Texas. I mean, each town is always, I'm always going to rep for each town, especially when I skate, it'll always be home to me. But, um, it's a little hot, just a little. Mosquitoes everywhere too. It's pretty humid. It's hard to find skate spots outside. That's my main complaint
Oh, yeah,
when
you
it
get
comes to
cooked.
skating. Yeah, you get cooked. You can only practice like in the sessions inside the rinks, pretty much. Yeah.
Oh. So before skating, what was your like? It sounds like you're enamored, but what was your life like prior to that then? What'd you do?
Oh man, prior to skating, I never really, that's why I got so attached to skating too. I don't think I ever really had one hobby or one thing that I was really, really good at in my life. I think it started with gymnastics when I was younger. I was really good at that. And then I had a really devastating injury, and we thought I was going to get paralyzed from it if I continued. So my mom actually took me out of classes, refused to continue to pay or drive me to gymnastics. And I was devastated for like over a year. I was really mad at my mom for it for a long time. But
Whoa, you
yeah,
fell. You fell and got hurt.
yeah,
What
I
were you
fell out of
doing?
a backflip and I like fell really weird almost on my head too. So it affected my neck.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah.
Yo.
Yeah. But that was, I think, besides skating, like looking back, I think the only thing I've loved as much as skating um, was gymnastics. Yeah. And I didn't have that feeling again until I put on a pair of skates. That's when I knew too. I was like, wow, I got to keep doing this. Yeah.
Whoa, have you done a backflip since?
A back handspring, yes, but not a
Not just
backflip.
a straight backflip. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna conquer this shit. Like, not gonna take me out.
I'm
Just get
working on
one.
it
Just get
though.
one for the love of the game. Be like, just walk off. Like, all right, backflip.
I
I'm out of here.
mean, I'm trying to do it on my roller skates, so
Oh my god,
don't tell my mom though.
Jesus,
She'd kill
man.
me. Yep.
But no, I always ask that because it's. I mean, hey, as you know, I ride a skateboard, and
Hmm.
it's like once you find that thing, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
and it you're like, okay, well, I don't know what I did before this that was really, but now I'm doing this thing and it's taken over.
Yes.
And and it's a cultural switch too,
Yeah.
because you've met a whole different group of people,
Yep.
and it's all like it's all brand new and
Yeah.
everybody's discovering at the same time.
Yep.
So when you started skating, how was it finding other people like yourself to skate with? Like, was it okay? Was it easy to do, or?
It wasn't always easy, actually, but it's been an interesting journey. So I'll kind of break it down for you. When I first started skating, I was still in Austin at the time, and it was during COVID. So it was really hard to like find any other skaters. I didn't know anyone in the skate community at all. I just bought a pair of roller skates on a whim. So I used to watch Dirty Deborah Harris YouTube videos actually, and that's how I started learning. Was I taught myself some of the basics from her videos, and then I actually started in the skate park. A lot of people probably forget that or don't know. I started roller skating at the skate parks, and you probably are familiar with CIB, Chicks and Bowls.
Oh my goodness, I've heard of that.
Yeah, CIB, they're big on like organizing different roller skaters together in different communities. And so once I moved back to Houston, I joined CIB Houston, and those girls are amazing.
Oh, that's
They're
really cool.
amazing. Yeah, super welcoming, warm, inclusive, encouraging. Like some of the best like communities I think are in Chicks and Bowls. Yeah. And so, that was my first sense of like community in the skate world. Of course, that was specifically to, roller skating at the skate parks. And then from there, I had a friend that I knew who brought me into dance skating, brought me into an adult night at a rink. And he didn't tell me
He
my
said there's gonna be a lot
first.
of black people, just so you know, a lot of velour going on, and a lot of just a lot. I'll warn you now.
Well, it wasn't that. It was the fact that he didn't warn me that I knew it was going to be an adult night, but he didn't warn me that he was bringing me to a skate party for my very first
Oh,
session. So it's like a fuck ton of people. Like the whole rink is full. Everyone who's there too knows what the fuck they're doing. Like they're getting it in. And so you walk in and you're like, holy shit, I don't fucking belong here. I can't do anything on my skates yet. I can't even
wow.
bust a spin yet. So I'm like, what am I doing here? And in Houston, yeah, it very much was. I think now it's gotten a little bit more diverse. But when I first joined the Houston skate community, like the indoor rinks, I was the only person in the entire rink, whether it was a skate party or regular like adult night session, only person in the whole rink that was in black. So I definitely was like, oh my God, I can't even be invisible and just be
No, it's
like a beginner,
impossible.
and just like anytime I bust my ass, it's like everyone sees. They're like, look at this newbie or this little poser trying.
Oh my goodness, I was like I wasn't even there, and I know what it looked like. That's
Oh, trust me. It was, yeah.
all my peoples was there. That's okay.
I got a lot of hate in the beginning, actually, too.
As
It was really
always,
fucking hard. Yeah. Yep.
listen, that's just the universe seeing if you really want it.
Oh, yeah. I know. And I was
That's
like,
how it
look,
goes.
I love this shit so much. Even, people telling me like you're Asian, you don't belong here, you don't look the part, you can't skate the part, you'll never represent Houston, you'll never be a Houston skater, and this rink will never be, somewhere that you belong. It was hard to hear that at first, but I feel like it was a constant reminder to me. If I was being told that during sessions and I was still showing up, still putting my head down to try to skate, I was like, you know what? I'm a pretty confrontational person, but in this situation, I was like, you know what? I am new. I am new to the culture. I need to just put my head down and let my skates do the fucking talking. And that progress in itself will prove it. Will prove my love for it.
That's very true. I mean, also too, Well, it just says a lot about your personality because a lot of times you won't want it if it's too easy. People give up, you know?
No.
Or, I mean, with that, you can look at like, this is your time to shine because I
Yeah.
don't look like everybody else.
Yeah.
It's like, this is a gift. It's like the thing that they're hating on the most. That's my gift right there.
Yeah.
You know, hey, I get that stuff, man. Like, same deal. I grew up in an all white area. I look like an ant in the sugar bowl out there riding a skateboard. Did not
Yeah.
care. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I may not see a lot of people like me.
Yeah.
And then it's like, but I'll just keep doing it,
Yeah.
you know? And then it's like, then you move, you just change surroundings too, a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
And you go, oh, wow, there's other areas where people like me are doing it,
Yeah.
you know, everything like that. So back to you. It's like, how long you been a part of that Houston scene then?
Pretty much like my entire skate journey, minus like the first maybe couple of months that I started roller skating and I was, in the skate parks and still in Austin and stuff. But I love the Houston skate scene now.
And so, as they all do, you had little crews and things like that. You were doing that too.
Um, Not really, not necessarily. I had joined a crew for a little bit out in Atlanta, but as far as in Houston, there are some crews now, like they're starting to form some. But what I appreciate about the Houston skate scene is that it's just a ton of people coming together to just enjoy the session. There's nothing really like politics related, at least when I first joined. Like now, maybe there is a little bit more of that and a little bit more crews and stuff. But when I was out there, it was a lot of it's just a bunch of different skaters just joining together to fucking skate. And Houston is a melting pot too. I think some people's complaint, which I actually think is one of our strengths, is they'll come out to Houston and they're like, wow, you guys don't have like one skate style that comes out of here. Like, JB comes out of Chicago, there's New York, New Jersey. They skate to house music out there, and it's a very defined style. But Houston, yeah, there's no necessarily style that comes from Houston, but I think it makes it so that our skate community is like a very big melting pot. You have your JB skaters, you have your New York, New Jersey, you have your middle work skaters, and then you have people who just fly between all of those, which I feel like is neat.
And see, that's your ability to stand out right there.
Yep.
And as we go on, it's like it led to you were on a show for a little bit, right? I remember seeing you on a roller skate show.
Mm-hmm.
What was
Roller
that?
jam. Yeah.
How was that?
That was that was crazy. I have very big feelings about
I
it.
was a super fan, so this is cool for me. I was like, I don't
Yeah.
know. Well, I kept DMing you like an idiot. I was like, look at this. We're watching it now.
No, I appreciated
Yeah,
it. It made me feel
but
like
no, tell me. Yeah, listen, I'm nosy.
yeah.
I'm trying to hear about. Tell me something. What's going
Well,
on?
I don't even know where to start because for me, it was also my first experience being on a TV show. So I've never like worked with production in that kind of sense, on a TV show, and it was, not your typical maybe reality show where they're just focusing on drama and shit, but like it is a reality show. And so it's kind of weird seeing how things operate and also seeing um how scripted things can still be, even when it seems organic.
Okay, well, all right. So I have some stupid questions, and
Okay.
well, first of all, how did you even get picked to do that?
So I got contacted by two different producers. I got an email and I also got like a phone call from one of them. And, they just hit me up and were like, hey, we found you online. We've been following you for a minute and, looking at your content, and you seem like a great, great skater to be on our show. They didn't give me a ton of details at the time. They were just like, it's going to be a roller skating TV show, might be a competition based show. And we really want you to be a part of it. Now, if you're already a part of a crew, you can totally loop them in and, go together with your crew, or you can form your own crew. We just really want you on the show. So,
Wow. Damn. Excuse me. You said we just want you. We don't care who you bring a bustle to your friends. We don't know who they are. Just bring them on. All right.
well, I feel like they told that to like most of the people, if not all the people who did end up joining, because fun fact, um, most of the crews on the show were not existing skate crews. They formed for the show. So I feel like it was a very similar situation where, they hit one of the people up in those crews or several of them and were like, hey, we really want you on the show. You can, form a crew, or if you have one, bring them on. And a lot of those people didn't already have a crew. So they were like, well, let's form a crew to get on the show.
What?
Yeah.
So your crew, you guys weren't together?
No, we were. I was already with them at the time, but I actually had never worked with them closely on any projects before this one because they're all the way in Atlanta. And, I'm a Houston skater, so I would only be out there from time to time for random little things, but we never worked closely together on anything. But
Then
yeah,
how did you then well, okay, so then
yeah.
how did that work then? Because from the outside looking in,
Hmm.
it looked like you had synergy, it looked like you guys knew what you were doing.
Yeah,
I don't know, I liked it.
yeah,
So I one would never know.
yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean? And I'm like, obviously, I guess that was the point, is
yeah,
for us not to know.
yeah.
But even with that, how did you guys figure out the routines and how did that work?
Oh man, that
Because
was
if you weren't
so
like,
fucking hard.
and it looks like you had to do things twice,
Yes.
because I was like, how are they
Yeah.
filming this?
Yep.
Because
Yep.
that's what I was watching. I was like, now I film skateboarding.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do you get this angle without having this person have to run that back?
I'll give you some insider info, and this is some info that I feel like they really should have put on the show because it would have made it even more impressive for people. So a lot of
That you did it
people,
twice? Yeah.
well, not even that. It's the fact that a lot of people watching the show back and seeing all of our routines, and look, everybody on that show fucking killed it. Every team was on their shit. Like, it was a tough competition, but people don't realize, watching the show and not being on it, they're thinking, oh, these people had like, every day to rehearse up until the performance and probably tons of hours of rehearsals. No, we were told that, but we got about an hour and a half total cumulative on average to rehearse for each performance. We only ever had one day, and they would block out different slots of time because we only had one rehearsal space,
I was
and
gonna
they would
say,
give
yeah,
each crew.
yeah, because I'm like, I was all that stuff I was wondering, because I'm like, how do you know the spatial awareness
Yeah.
and everything like that? Like, how do you, because you have to know that because you're going in a circle.
Yeah. Well, they also had to keep things, separate. They wouldn't allow, like, it wouldn't be all teams in there at once because, we can't see each other's routines at all. We can't cheat, or, in fairness, we would have to separate. So that's why a lot of the times during the show, we were just sitting around waiting for our rehearsal time. We'd be in the separate studio, just waiting in our different waiting rooms with our teams, waiting to be called to go actually rehearse. Most of what we were filming, like most of the time, was spent either waiting or doing like B-roll footage. To the point where a lot of skaters, I will say, that was the biggest complaint. I love the producers on the show, love you guys, but the biggest complaint from everybody was that we never got to rehearse properly, and that's why so many people got injured.
I noticed that,
So many
and
people.
I was like, like there was, again, it dawned on me after a while, 'cause like I said, the angles.
Yeah.
I was like, how are they? Was there someone on roller skates following you,
Yeah,
or a
so
drone? How'd that work?
there was a dude on, we would get two takes, right? The first take would be the only one that judges would factor in. So the second take was just for, both were for cameras, right? But the first take was for the judges and for the scoring and everything. And I think that was the one where it was the zoomed out footage. I don't know what that camera is called, but they had one that was like attached to almost a crane,
Okay.
where it was like a big zoomed out view of like the whole rink almost. And then the second was the closer up footage, and it was a guy on rollerblades. And fun fact, there's probably, you'll notice if you watch it back knowing this now, with certain routines, especially ours, the one where we did the car wash routine,
Mhm.
they were only able to use footage from our first take because the second take, the guy on rollerblades, he got too close to us when they were lifting me, and we actually, like, he ended up making all of us fall. So we all fell out of that, yeah, while I was being lifted and shit. It was crazy.
Yeah, because I'm like, I guess they need the second take just to piece everything together to get
Mm-hmm.
the different shots. I get it, but I'm like,
Yeah.
damn, you're gonna be. I thought, I'm like, how is this guy not in the way? And
Oh, he was.
and that's what I was like. Well, of course he's in the way, because
Yeah.
that's a
He's like
small
close
that's a
to
small
us.
area.
Yeah, it's a small area, and he's really close to us. And look, I don't blame him because the man is holding, like, I don't even know how many pounds of like weight of camera,
And he's trying to
equipment,
skate
and
around,
he's trying
not
to skate around.
slip.
Yeah, and like back up too. And that's another thing. Like most of our time was spent not only B-roll waiting, but also like camera blocking. They would get us to camera block before we even had the whole piece together. So it would be confusing for the camera people because we're here camera blocking so they know where we're supposed to be. But a lot of us weren't even done building our routines by the time we had a camera block.
Oh my
It was crazy. Like when I tell you we had barely any time to rehearse, and mind you, people are thinking we came into this competition with choreo already on hand.
God. Yeah, I
And
thought
with
so.
no, they did not give us any of the songs. We got them as we were going. Yes. So right before, so it would
Oh.
be like performance, right? We're finished with the performances. Then the next morning, we're given like a batch of like songs that are possibly ours, or we're given the specific song that's going to be our song. And then we have about like 2 days, and then it's performance again. We have the performances were split apart by about 2 days.
Oh.
Yeah. So we
Whoa.
wouldn't even be able to really like take a breather because we'd be all relieved that same night that we're all done with performances. But then we're like, fuck, as soon as we get to the hotel, we're like, shit, next morning we're like already
Dude.
working on the next thing?
Yeah. And who was thinking of that? And did they give you ideas like the car wash thing? Like, did you guys come up with that, or did they say, "Look, you should do this," or because they get?
No, no. Everything by every team that you see is fully choreographed
I.
by just our crews.
Oh,
Yeah.
what?
I will say, Frank, oh my God, Fred. I don't know why I called it Frank. I will say Fred was the choreographer on site. Shout out Fred Talixon. We love him so much. All the teams love him. He's amazing. Um, he's a very renowned choreographer, but he was on site to help us. But it was more so, he'll give like a suggestion here or there, or sometimes it was kind of like we'd be in rehearsals and he would be watching us and he'd be like, well, maybe do something bigger because you guys have been confined in this spot for too long. Or he'd be thinking of like cameras too. He'd be thinking of like, okay, well, you did this here, maybe use this part of the space, maybe use that, and give us different suggestions. But he was the one though, that winning shot, I feel like that was edited into all the promos of in the one routine where I'm in the red sequin jumpsuit
Mhm.
and they have me kind of like with their arms up, and I'm like sitting on the lift. That was his idea fully.
Oh,
Yeah, that was Fred's idea. He was like, what if you guys do this? Yeah, but as far as like the actual like choreo and the routines, like we were responsible for that. Every different crew was responsible for their own routines.
whoa.
Yeah. And it was about like a minute and a half to 2 minutes of routines, which is like really difficult.
That's a
Yeah.
long time.
That's a lot of choreo to be able to like come up with a choreo, rehearse it, memorize it, clean it up in like about an hour and a half to 2 hours of cumulative time. Yeah, every team was always under so much pressure. It was really stressful, like very rewarding, but also extremely, extremely strenuous.
Did they just film it all in one clip?
Um, the actual final footage, yeah, it was pretty much like in 2 takes. Yeah, so like the one take with like the bigger zoomed out camera, and then the one take with rollerblades. But it was, yeah, 2 takes, but each was just completely like from start to finish, like no pauses, no nothing. And if you did pause or if you did fuck up, like you only have a second go around. And
Oh,
if they don't get the angles, they don't get the angles. That's it. Yeah, there's no refilming like, oh well, we didn't get this lift properly, so hit that lift again or hit that one move. Nope. Yeah, it's just the 2 takes or nothing. That's why that one routine of us doing the car wash, yeah, I think they would probably have some maybe more close-ups and stuff edited in, but because there was that fall, they just cut it right there. They didn't get us to run it back or to continue the routine after the fall. It was just one and done. Yeah.
damn.
Yeah. So lots of pressure in that sense.
How long did the whole experience take?
Um, ooh, I'm having trouble remembering because all of us like had amnesia during the whole thing and thought it was like a fucking 2 month process, even though I think it was like maybe a total of like 3 weeks, I want to say.
That's a lot to cram into 3 weeks
Yeah,
because they did space that show out because we were watching it. I thought it was like a whole real world experience. Like we're
no.
living in a house for 3 months and
Yeah,
we're
that's
all
what you would
roller
think.
skating and we're just having a great time. I'm like, really?
Yep. I thought, look, I'm
You
pretty
sold me on it.
sure we were told when in first conversations that it was going to be like, I don't know, 6 to 8 weeks of a process. And they were like, nope, 3 weeks. They try to keep it as cheap for the budget, I guess, as possible. That's why we filmed out in New Orleans, which even like the producers were confused about because everybody that I met on set, like producers and stuff, they were all flown out from LA. So I was like, why didn't we just do this in LA? There's a couple crews that were based out there too, but I guess it was just cheaper to be in New Orleans too.
Oh wow, so they filmed it. That's crazy too.
Yeah, it was all in New Orleans. We were staying on Bourbon Street. We didn't even get to really party because we'd be like, that
You
was hard too. We like
well, you
come,
probably didn't want to because
no,
you can't be hungover.
no,
You got
yeah,
to be sharp.
yep,
Like
yep,
yeah, you got
it,
to recover.
yep. We would have to be responsible, but it was really funny because like producers would keep reminding us, like, oh well, don't stay out late, don't go party, don't show up like hungover on set, and I'm like, why'd you guys put us in like the worst
Yeah, you put
part
us
of
into
town
one
for
spot.
that?
Yeah, Temptation Island over here.
Yeah, and we couldn't really. It was kind of hard to sleep too because you get there and it's like, it's fucking Bourbon Street. It's popping. Like we're in rest mode, and the rest of like the whole street is like partying it up still.
Oh man,
Yeah.
damn. What did they even win? What did the winners win? I forget. Was it money?
Oh man, I forget how much, but it was a certain amount, maybe like 100K or
Oh
something.
wow.
Yeah, okay, look, I could be totally wrong. Maybe it was like 50K.
Still, that's
50K
tight.
to 100K, yeah, for the whole crew to split up, yeah, between each other. And then I think about $10,000 or something to the rink of their choice. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a lot of rinks for you, Liv?
Yes, there are. Yeah, lots of rinks in Houston. Um, I would go to about, I think there were 3 to 4 that I regularly went to.
Oh
Yeah,
really? It's big
yeah.
like that?
Oh, it's big like that. I mean, look, there's a lot of rinks everywhere if you look. The only thing is a lot of people don't know rinks are all further out because it's really hard for a rink to survive. Think of all the space too. I don't think you could afford, like, who's going to be able to afford rent for a massive rink, smack dab in the middle of central Houston? So they're always kind of a drive out, even out here, but,
Yeah.
it's worth the drive.
Yeah. That was like that. Um, Back home, I worked at a skate park, and it
Mm-hmm.
was in the mall,
Yeah.
and that rent was through the roof.
Oh,
Like
I'm sure.
it was so expensive, and like it's non-sustainable after a while. So
No.
I get it. So I'm like roller skating's got to be even tougher. But damn, there's a lot of rinks in Houston. That's sick. Because I know there's like one out here. It's like Fountain Valley.
Yeah, Fountain Valley, and then there's also Chino, and I do like Chino too, but both of them are very far. They're actually even further of a drive for me than any of the rinks back in Houston. On average, I was at a pretty central location in Houston. I'm lucky. So it was pretty much like a 35-minute drive for me, but out here, it's well over an hour.
Oof,
Well over an hour.
typical LA shit.
Yeah. And
Uh,
that's without traffic.
Yeah,
So,
typical LA shit right there.
yeah.
So I mean, did that show lead to anything? Like what? Like
Um, I heard it did for my crew, but they actually didn't include me in any of the opportunities that we got.
no way.
Yeah, I didn't get contacted about, yeah.
But that seemed now. This is gonna sound. I'm gonna say it. It just seems weird because you were like, I don't know. It's like you have a car. You were like
Yeah,
the hood ornament.
yeah,
Or like when they have a bat, like they have a ship, like the Vikings have the ship.
yep,
You were the thing on the front, the woman on the front.
yep,
Like you were the standout
yeah,
because you stood out. If that
yeah,
makes any sense. Like just
yeah.
what the hell, really?
And I don't say that in an, oh, like I was doing the best kind of way either, but they kind of did that too. Like the choreo, you probably noticed the choreo and the routines were like made to be like that
Yes,
too.
it was. I was like,
Like,
this is a layup right here. Like you just put
yeah,
her in like whatever sticker and shout out to my baby Koi in the background.
baby koi.
Ah,
Oh my
that's life
god.
happening, y'all. Welcome to
Yeah.
it. But like you would think that that boggles my mind right there. What
Yep.
the hell? I'm
Yeah.
damn.
Yeah, that was really hard for me. It was actually really hard for me on the show because everything that you guys saw in interviews of like, oh, like, we're like a family, we're super like inclusive of Bunny and like X, Y, and Z. It really wasn't like that behind the scenes at all. That's why the other crews kind of took me under their wing. And shout out to Trendsetters, my favorite skate crew to ever exist. Some of the most stand up guys that I know, super welcoming, super inclusive. They saw it, and I actually like only knew the leader of the crew, B1, before doing the show, but I had just met the guys, the rest of the five guys that were on the show, and they kind of saw what was going on, with me and my crew, and so they would take me under their wing, and they were like, "Damn, like your crew's not even gonna wait for you. They're not even gonna hold a door for you. Like we got you. Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
wow.
it was
I'm all
really hard.
bummed.
It was really hard, man. I used to go back to my hotel room. I cried every night. And it was really hard because I think, like, the first night that we were there, a lot of people don't know I was about to quit the whole show and fly back because we got into a whole tiff, like, my crew. And it was just me, trying to stand up for myself and just be like, hey, I feel like I don't really have a voice here. I would like to be a little bit more included or feel heard or, have any of my input taken into account at all. Um,
Well, we'll have to pause. Hold on. How did you guys even then? How did you guys even come together in the first place then?
so I, hit my crew up and I was like, hey, producers contacted me about this. And like, Sean, who's essentially, I mean, my crew likes to say, well, I'm not with him anymore, but my crew at the time used to say like we didn't have like a crew leader, but I think everyone kind of did acknowledge like Sean was the leader of our crew. And then I contacted him as well, and he did say that producers hit him up too. And so we were like, all right, well, let's just like see who's down in the crew to do the show. And so we auditioned, with, I think it was a couple more of us, like three more guys than what we actually ended up with.
Mm-hmm.
And then they filtered it down to like the group of us that ended up being on the show. And it was weird because we did have like one, semi rehearsal to try to kind of get like some type of routine or basis for a routine, even though, like I said, nobody had anything set in stone leading up into the show because they didn't really tell us anything set in stone. But, I did spend a weekend just kind of trying to build routines with them out there. But like I said, because I'm out in Houston, I had never done anything with that crew yet. So I didn't know what the experience was going to be like at all. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn. What a sour way to end that shit.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
it was hard, man. It was really hard. It was really for me too. I'm very much a person who lives in my truth. And so I think it was really, really hard for me to go into interviews, and not be able to speak my truth and also to like tout up a lie basically. Like all those interviews were, even the parts that they kept in were all about like, oh, like Bunny's like, the little sister to us in the crew almost like that's kind of how they angled things. And like at one point, like production, even like one of the producers would, I'm sure from, TV and stuff like that, they ask you questions in the interviews to get you to answer, right? And they would ask me things like, Bunny, I don't care if this is a lie, but I want you to say something like, your crew is like your big brothers and they love you and they support you. And it would be shit like that during the interviews and during like when we would get judged, like me talking to the judges, even. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, I was all like, this is gonna lead to a TV show. Y'all gonna be like the real world escape group. Like, that's
Yeah.
crazy. It's not that. Actually, let me stop. It's not that crazy because skateboarding's the same damn way.
Yeah.
Like they how they portray shit on Instagram and whatever, and like, nah, these dudes would not hang out with each other unless they were paid.
Yeah.
Damn, no, that just still stinks though because I don't know. I watched that with my lady. I was like, oh, this would make me if I didn't roller skate
Mm-hmm.
and like whatever, like this would get me going to get a couple of friends out to do it. I mean, I guess mission accomplished, but it's just a bummer to know that part where you're like,
Yeah.
man.
For me it was also sad in the sense of like, I've always in certain moments where I've struggled to like find my family or my corner of skating that feels like I'm truly like invited in and people really want to embrace me there. So it's kind of like I'm always looking for my skate family. So I think when, I joined my crew, I assumed because we're a crew, that we're immediately kind of like treating each other as family.
Yeah.
So yeah. And me being like the only woman in that situation and like an Asian woman too, it's like, man, I'm trying to belong, and just feel like I'm a part of this. And I kind of did look at them like they would be like my brothers or that type of, relationship
That's how they
before the
showed it.
show. Yeah, that's how they showed it. And so for me too, I feel like I don't know, I just don't like any situation where it's like a group of guys and then one girl and she's like not being heard and shit. It's just that kind of shit's frustrating. And I'm not afraid to speak out. That's the only thing. I think like I don't think they realized that, and I think it was kind of taken a certain way when I did speak up.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Jeez. Well, I mean, you're in California now, so
Yeah.
now you have a chance to kind of start a new crew.
Mhm. Yeah. If I want to do that, but also like I feel like I'm just naturally a drifter, you know. So I just vibe with who I vibe with, and I feel like I don't really like clicks either.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn, though, man. I was all hyped on that show. It's like behind the scenes. Like I'm thinking everybody's happy family. We got a van, and we're just I don't know. What I think in my head about
Yeah.
everything is
There were good moments. I will say there were, but that's what people don't realize is like what they put at the forefront was that every crew was super tight with each other in a family, but it was actually more so like between crews. There was like a lot of love. Like I met so many new people and then I reconnected with a lot of skaters that I already knew before the show, through the show. But it was like me spending most of the time, to be honest, with like bonding with some of the other crews, and all the other crews too, man, they were all going through it. Like, I think the only crew that I felt like was super actually unified and like a real brotherhood or whatnot was Trendsetters. That's why I really look up to them because I'm like, damn, they really know how to run a crew. The rest of the crews all had problems within within their crews, you
damn. And
know.
where's Trendsetters from?
They're out from Ohio. Yeah, so their specialty is Cleveland jumps. Yeah, which is like 360s, 540s, 720s.
Listen, never mind. How do I need an old man crew. I need the crew for my crew. I'm about to. I'm roller skate. I'm about to start a crew myself and just a bunch of old men in their 40s and 50s. We don't spin around none of that. We just slow bop.
Yeah.
Wear our velour suits with little gold chains hanging out.
Well, you should come to Houston because that is one style that does come out from Houston. I forget if it's called trunkin or truckin, but it's what the older OGs do on the outside, and they just kind of I don't even know how to explain it. It's just kind of really fast skating on the outside, but they have this little bounce to it. And like, they have their little OG swagger that they add to it, and I love watching them, you
That's so
know.
funny. Oh my
Yeah, they're
god.
so cute and
The
they go
young
in one
people are doing
line.
too much. That's me judging you. You're doing too much.
Yeah, they're like the youngins are doing too
Oh
much.
man. Well, never mind. Well then fine then. Well then forget that crew then. Well now that you're out in California, what's what's next? You live in California, you're gonna start acting. What are you gonna do now?
Oh
Everybody moves out here and
man.
wants to be an actor. So
I don't know. I don't really see myself in that field. I would dabble in it, but I feel like the most I would do, I'm actually very interested in like voice acting because I don't have to be on camera, so it's way less pressure. Like I would be interested in voice acting or like commercial work is like probably the peak of what I would be comfortable with like in front of a camera. I don't know about actual acting, like being on a show where it's fully scripted.
what is with what? Speaking of being on a show, what is with all the Kill Bill shit on your Instagram?
Is it
What
really that much of
there's
it?
enough of it where I'm like, this is a running theme I've noticed with the
I
nunchucks.
don't feel like there is enough. Oh, you're talking about the nunchucks. I thought you meant that one
Just
cosplay
in
that I did.
no, it's just the I don't know why I just associate the nunchuck shit all the time with the
I mean, that makes sense. It's giving Kill Bill when you're throwing out fucking nunchucks and shit.
that right there is insane to me. How many times you can crack yourself in the head with that?
Oh, I've smacked myself a good amount of times. Yeah. I did the other day. Pro tip to girls who are trying to do nunchucks. Yeah, don't ever do that shit braless because
Oh,
you chuck yourself did. That shit hurt.
Oh my
Or the
God.
eye. I chucked myself in the eye one of the first times I ever tried learning nunchucks. And so I started wearing sunglasses for a while. I was learning because I was
Wear
like,
safety goggles.
where's my safety goggles? Yeah, I was like,
Wear some
shit.
snowboard goggles when you do it.
Yeah, something,
Oh
some
my.
protective gear, a
I,
fucking helmet.
are they wooden nunchucks?
I have some wooden ones, but the ones that I have, they're like metal, but they're coated with like this. There's like a foam little thing that you can like twist off to if you want, but it adds a little bit of, I don't know. I feel like it adds some safety to me. I don't
Oh
know if I
yeah.
could go full
Can't get
force,
full
just metal.
concussion.
Yeah, no, not full concussion. Maybe just like half concussion.
Just like a little.
A little.
Oh. Can I with my eye?
I've gotten concussed enough from the skate park. I'm good on that.
Oh my God. Yeah. So I'm like, the nunchucks? I don't know. That looks dangerous.
It's fun though. I love nunchucking. Like, when like I don't know. I feel like when girls get ready, we take forever because we're just like dancing in front of the mirror half the time. I'm nunchucking in front of the mirror when I'm getting ready.
Oh
It's
my
just fucking
God.
fun.
How much shit have you destroyed in your apartment with
Ugh.
nunchucks?
So
And I don't even mean
far,
on purpose. Just this water bottle. Pyaw!
well, I did break a cup the other day, but that's all that I've done. I luckily have not smacked my mirror, knock on wood, because like I've been doing it in front of the mirror. So like, but
Oh,
it is what it is. I feel like a little broken cup here, a little broken that is like worth me having fun.
I was like, is this bad? Is this gonna transition to full ninja?
Full ninja. I want to go full ninja. I really want to do like two nunchucks at once. There's a girl online who does that shit and she's like fire. She's crazy at it. But I feel like she has like actual martial arts training.
And she has no man. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, no man wants that kind of trouble. I don't. It might look sexy, but get them dishes done. Come over here.
Bring out the fucking nunchucks if you're not on your shit,
like,
you know?
even if they're foam, it still hurt. Like,
I feel like some guys would be really into that. So
I'm
weird.
telling you, you think so.
The
Listen,
internet's weird, dude.
you say that, and I say this. I say it to say this. As you know, my lady is Asian, and anytime she does anything, I go, man, there's somebody that would pay to see this. And I don't want.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
not one of them. I wish you wouldn't do that.
I know.
Whatever that is, and it's like,
There's a lot of that.
It's wild.
There's so much of that. Being an Asian woman, dude, I think that's a lot of the reasons why too. Like when I
Yep.
am confrontational. So when that side of me comes out, people are always taken aback and offended. And I'm like, just because I'm Asian, like I'm not submissive. I'm really not. I mean, I'll fucking pull out the nunchucks serious.
That's it. I'm like, for some odd reason, it's like anything a woman like yourself does, you can post that on the internet, and it's like insane. We were talking about, oh my God, DMs.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah, because I DM you and she goes, why are you DMing her? She's not looking at that. I'm like, oh yeah, she probably gets abused on a daily basis in her DMs. That's nuts.
The weirdest shit. Like
I'm sure.
And
I bet when
all
that
of
show,
that.
I bet the show probably ramped it up, didn't it?
You would think so, but I really feel like the only people who knew about the show were fucking skaters. I only met like 3 people out and about who were like, oh shit, like you're Roller Bunny from that one like roller jam
Yeah,
show,
I guess because
you know?
you have to be looking for that to know about that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
HBO did not promote it at all. I was like, damn, did you like hate our performances? Like they did not promote the show whatsoever. So I feel like it was mostly, it's kind of an echo chamber. I feel like it was just other skaters that knew about that shit. But yeah, no, most of that shit comes from just like, if like a video goes viral, I'm sure any women listening to this will like relate, especially on Instagram. Any video that goes viral, and it could have nothing to do with your looks too. It's just like, I feel like if you're a woman posting it and it goes viral, it ends up in the weirdest fucking corners of the internet. Like people think they want their shit to go viral until it does, and they see the fucking comments or the fucking DMs that come in, and you're like, what is wrong with people? Like truly.
That's that part right there. I'm like, I asked that question all the time. Like, what is wrong? Even with some people film. I'm like, never mind the comments. I'm like, people film. You thought to do this?
Yeah.
And then someone commented on it, but I don't know. Again, yeah, good luck in any of that situations. I'm like, the DM nonsense has got to be.
Yeah.
I told you that's there's your ins. I'm like,
Yeah.
you need to create a show where like, listen, Bunny just sits and we're just gonna read DMs
Yeah.
and just scroll through.
I need to do that. There's some
That's
weird shit and some hateful shit.
oh, there's
Some
haters out there.
real hateful
But the
shit.
thing is, here's the thing though.
But not regular hater shit.
The hater stuff, it never comes from anybody like that you can be like, all right, it's it's this
Right.
person. It's always just some stupid burner, whatever, with two
It's
pictures.
always a fucking burner
So I don't
account.
that drives me nuts. I'm like, I
I'm
would
like, say it with your chest.
I would love it if you just got on there with your name, but like, look, this is how I feel. I would respect it more.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, maybe I should work on myself because Stanley Roberts from over here, he thinks that this
Right,
is,
right.
I'm like, and he said it too. He put a
Right.
picture on me. I'm saying this. I'm
Yep.
like, oh,
Nope.
you felt that. But
No,
no, I get
Always
it.
a fucking burner account, man.
Oh, yeah, that's why I say the internet isn't real. This
Yeah.
is real. When you
Yeah.
sit and you chop it up with your friends and whatever, it's like,
Yeah.
that shit's real. I don't care nothing about those people's comments. Be amazed the shit people send me. I'm like, who cares?
Oh yeah.
And but that holds
bizarre
you,
shit.
but it holds you back from doing things. I always tell people in a
Yeah.
sense of, even without getting the comments, people come on here and they tell me about things they want to do, and I'm like, damn, you're worried about something that hasn't happened yet. You're worried
Mhm.
about people not supporting something that you never even stepped out and done.
Yeah.
And those people that are going to hate on you, they weren't going to support you in the first place. It don't matter. A lot of
No.
times when we're doing these things, we think about the people right in front of us. And I'm like, nah, it's a ripple effect. It goes further out.
Oh, it's definitely a ripple effect. I think the only reason, to be honest, that I still even post or like put myself out there online or like share, you know, because sometimes I'll share vulnerable moments or like I get vulnerable in my captions and stuff is because, you know, of like I'll get DMs, you know, still or comments from people who sometimes I'll notice they've never commented on anything before, but they'll tell me like, hey, you know what? Like I've been really inspired by like certain moments, or I've, you know, you've inspired me to like pick up my skates. I used to skate, you know, years ago and I gave up on that shit. Or, you know, people who are like, you know, you expressing your vulnerability online has like made me want, especially about like, you know, just being true to yourself and your inner child has made like other people be like, damn, you know what? I am going to choose myself, you know? And like shit like that is what makes me like, damn, okay, if I can inspire like one person or make one person feel like, yeah, being true to yourself and living in your authenticity does bring you so many blessings in life, that makes it worth it, you know? Like fuck what all the weird haters say. But there are some really bizarre ones though. Like it's the bizarre hate comments that I'm
Like
I'll
what?
be thinking about. Like this one dude, and of course on a fucking burner account, but I can just tell it's some fucking old white fuck. But I'm sorry, you can just tell by the way he typed this shit out. Sent me like an essay, like a dissertation.
He like
through
took the
DMs.
time to really write this out.
The time and tried to seem so smart about it too. And the whole thing, long story short, was just about picking apart every video, every different video that I've done where I've skated with a black man, which is literally like every
What are you
video,
doing that
because
for?
that's the whole skate culture. And he's like,
stop it.
Yeah, is so angry and is like, I don't know. I think he called me a name too. I forget what the term was. I had an Urban Dictionary it, and the definition was like a woman who like only goes for like black dudes or something
Ooh.
like that. Yeah,
Who is that? I'm curious. I'm curious to know. That's hysterical.
It was just so weird. It was like a whole essay about like why it's bad that I only like that I skate with so many black men and there's so many black men on my pages and stuff. And he's like, yeah, and like you shouldn't do that and blah blah blah. And I'm like, wow, you're really in your grandma's basement typing this shit out like it's your 9 to 5, dude.
That's insane. For that to be like the thing. Well, here's another. Oh, here's a different way to look at this.
Yeah.
Did he offer you an alternative? Was he like, listen, why not dance with people your own race or white? He just said not black guys.
Yeah.
Well, then that's weird.
Yeah, that was weird. That's why I was like, this.
I tried to give him an out. I tried to.
White conservative dude.
He just said nope. No blacks.
Yep. That was the entire essay, Kai. And it was a whole essay. So think about all the shit he said, all the hateful shit that he sputtered.
I love it.
I was like, wow. People really have the time to in the room.
They do.
Energy to have this much hate in their hearts, you know?
They do.
And I've gotten shit about my looks too. Like me being like, people have called me like a chink in my fucking like comments and my DMs before, and like picked apart the way I look, and are like, it's a bunch of guys too being like, oh, you think you're so hot in this on your fucking roller
But
skates,
the
and I'm
funny
like,
part is,
why are you watching me?
but if you turned around and was like, you know what, I kind of like how you talk to me, like, I want you to call me, they would be all
Oh yeah,
over that.
oh yeah,
Like, spare me on that shit.
spare
That's the
me.
funniest thing ever.
It's, I mean, that's the definition to me of like an incel online. It's like a dude who will like pick apart a woman because he's attracted to her and he doesn't want to be. Or it's always like the dudes who are probably subscribed to like a shit ton of OF accounts that are the ones going on probably these girls who do OF's pages and shit, who are like saying all these things. I don't do OF, but I have a couple friends who do, and I've seen the comments, and I'm like, wow, I feel like the guys who are taking the time to leave these hate comments are the ones that are subbing to you though.
I don't
Like,
understand.
they're the ones who are consuming the content and creating the demand for it.
I mean, hey, thanks for the clicks.
Right.
Look at it like that. Like,
That's how they look at it.
You took the time to click on here and talk shit. That's a view. I'll take it.
Yeah, they're like, thanks for the engagement,
Yeah.
and then a little kissy emoji.
Hey, you gotta take what you can get
No,
sometimes.
yeah.
That is insane. I mean,
It's insane.
I don't know. What people choose to do with that shit is beyond me. But it's just like, also like, man, you took the time to do this. Like, what do you like? You got nothing else better to do.
Yeah, clearly.
Like, they really don't. And you're
They're-
like, man, you were in traffic with this one. I can tell it's spelled wrong.
Yep,
Like,
You're
you
like,
left some shit out. Like, oh, you were in traffic with this one. This one just came across your feed. Look at another black man on her page. I would have loved to have watched him look at your page and just, because you know he counted. He's like, 1,
yeah, oh yeah,
2, 3. What is with this?
yeah. I mean, he gave me a play-by-play of all these videos. I'm like, as if I didn't fucking post them myself. Like, I don't need a fucking play-by-play of my own videos. Like, are you good?
Well, well, you know what? Here's a weird thing. Have you ever like been in a crew with like people of your own race?
No, because that's the other thing. There's really like,
is there that?
There's really not.
You're Chinese,
that
right?
many, yeah, but just in general with Asians, like there's really not a ton of Asian dance skaters.
Dance crews, y'all didn't lock that down.
Oh yeah, dance crews.
Jesus
that's
Christ.
different. But like, that's why I'm trying to like, I'm like, look, y'all need to go from dancing to skating. Like, come over to the skate world. We need some more. Like, I think that's why a lot of like Asian skaters or like Asians who are like looking into skating will kind of like tell me though, like, yeah, you're really inspiring and representing for us,
I don't
man.
see. You know why? I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
I figured it out. Y'all busy whooping ass and skateboarding. Because I don't know if you've taken a look around the corner, but it is all.
Yeah.
It's China, Korea.
Oh yeah.
Japan.
Yeah.
I was like, damn.
Yeah.
So maybe that's it. You're busy doing that. When y'all done with that, you come over and.
Yeah.
That's my takeaway. Yeah, because that's true. I didn't see any. You don't see it. Damn. Maybe
it'll
pop
up. Not that many.
Maybe it'll pop up on my algorithm now. I'm like, I'm trying to see a Asian skate dance. Yeah.
I will say though, I've talked to one of my friends, Stanley. He's an amazing skater, and he skates out in Venice and Vista. Shout out to Stanley on Wheels. But we had a long conversation, heart to heart, actually, recently about being Asian skaters, and he even told me, he was like, yeah, I can count with one hand how many Asian skaters skate at this kind of level too, and are this much in the mix of the community, and like, in the culture, like traveling for skating, like really going in the middle, like really, really working on their craft too.
I wonder why.
Like, we talked about it, and a lot of it, I'm not gonna lie, is like, skating can be very gate capped, especially like, I feel like certain indoor rink culture can be that way. Like being out in LA, I'm sure LA skaters hearing this might not be able to relate. And he's even told me that before. Like his experience in LA is very different than like in Sacramento, for example. Because out here, it's just, maybe it's like the outdoor vibe in general. Like Venice being Venice, like how can people really gatekeep or hate when like you're out there skating with the palm trees and the breeze and the beaches next to you? Everyone is just happy. There's not really as many like politics at play and stuff. But I think that when you venture more into certain areas, when it's like less diverse too, and I mean, I kind of get, where it could be coming from. Like when I first started skating, I was getting a lot of hate I feel like some of the people that were hating on me, and maybe not taking it to an extreme, but some of the people were just questioning, like, what's this girl's intentions? Like, is she really about the culture? I understand, like skating comes from Black culture. And, I can appreciate that. And I feel like there's a reason to be like, well, this is a sacred space to us. Like, let's make sure whoever comes into this space is really about the culture and really cares, you know, and takes this shit seriously. So I understand that aspect of it. But I think that it's just that there's some people who maybe like take it to an extreme, certain very specific individuals that might take it to an extreme, and it makes it hard because I have known of, certain Asian skaters who dipped off of the skate community for that reason, actually. So
Oh,
they'll start skating and then be like, damn, it's a little intimidating.
well, okay. So I say that to say this. So I always wonder about that, the whole like, people being like, this is our thing kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what's the difference between appropriation and appreciation sometimes?
Mm-hmm.
And I say that I mean, hey, I have a Japangelist t-shirt on.
Yeah.
I buy a lot of Japangelist shit.
Yeah.
I'm not Japanese. My daughters have Japanese, but
Yeah.
I like it because the people that run it are cool. I help support a small business. Like there's a lot of smaller things in that.
Yeah.
But someone could see me wearing all this stuff and be like, what are you doing? But it's like, I don't know, just any of that. It bothers me sometimes because if you want people to understand where
Mm-hmm.
you come from, you got to let them in.
Yeah.
You got to let them
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
Let them in. And then give them a chance to fuck
Mm-hmm.
up.
And
And
then you can decide.
then you
Yeah.
can decide.
Yeah.
But to be like, nah, like we're gonna be this way because this is our shit. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, guess what? You're gonna stay stuck where you're at, doing just what you're doing,
Yeah.
and it's not gonna get any bigger than it is.
Yeah.
Even if you don't want, it's not gonna grow.
Yeah.
You get stuck in an echo chamber
Yep. Yep.
with just like-minded people.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are cool with that.
Yeah.
For me, I like looking around and having it look
Oh,
look a
yeah.
lot diverse. Like it's like moving out here. I
Mm-hmm.
like looking around. I have so many friends that are everything out here.
Yeah.
Like, coming from the East Coast, I grew up in a white area.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I moved to the city where I saw Black people riding skateboards. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm in California. It's everybody.
Yeah.
So I couldn't imagine
Yeah.
like being like, oh, like it's mostly us doing. I mean, shit, I grew up around all white kids. What if they
Yeah.
were like, oh, what are you doing trying to ride a skateboard? Like, nah, I actually didn't deal with any bullshit like that.
Yeah.
And it's wild to me, like to hear this. It's like that
Yeah.
bothers me because listen, I'm Black, and it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, there's things that we do, but you invite to the cookout, like
Yeah.
you bring some, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, come in first,
Yeah.
and then we'll kick you out. It's
Yeah.
like, but it's the whole thing of I, that always bothered me to
Mm-hmm.
no avail. Like
Yeah.
just any of that shit because it just makes no sense. People will spend so much time getting wrapped up in what this person's intentions are, and you never gave them a shot.
Yeah. Like you don't even know them yet. They're just a new face so far,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the point? So,
Yeah.
all right, keep this all to yourself. Okay. So when you die off, that thing dies off
Yeah.
because
There's
it's
no one to
just
pass it to,
there's
too,
and then or even this, it's like, hey, you need bodies in this rink.
Yeah.
All these people they not gonna last. You need more
Mm-hmm.
people coming in.
Yeah.
I'm in my 40s, and I know this to be true. Every Black person, I'll go on record, every Black person in their 40s and up can all roller skate because
Mm-hmm.
we all grew up doing it. In some sense of the word, we did it. I hadn't roller skated in like 20 years. Longer than that, I put on I was able to do it because when I was a
Mm-hmm.
kid, that's what we did. We went to roller rinks, we were in the
Yeah.
driveway and stuff. But it's like now we should be glad that thing is still going on and
Yeah.
embrace other people, embracing our culture. I don't know
I think
that whole thing that gets me. I get so bothered by shit
Yeah.
like that.
It was, look, that's why though I will say shout out to Ron Caesar in Houston. He's the one who hosts Houston Roundup. He is the reason why Houston is on the map of skate culture in the way that it is, and that people travel every year to come to Houston Roundup and experience the Houston skate scene. I love him so much because he was one of the first, actually, he was the first person and the first OG and well respected OG in the skate community there to take me under his wing. And he even told me, like, hey, Bunny, like, he didn't really, I feel like he kind of acknowledged what was going on. He didn't say anything about it, but he was like, hey, Bunny, I just want you to know, like, I see what you're doing. keep killing it out here. You belong here. You deserve to take up space here. And you're doing amazing. And if you need any help with downtowns, which is like what I started with at the rink, and that's what he kind of taught, was like teaching downtown variations. That's why I hold him so close to me. And I have so much respect for Ron, because if it weren't for him, I actually don't know if I would have continued skating. And not because, I was too scared to go back to the rink and whatnot. I got to a point with the hate where I was like looking at myself like, oh my God, is me being here like problematic? Like, am I being problematic by just existing at the rink? Like, if it is bringing so much um discomfort, to the skate scene there, that I am just here and existing, then maybe I should remove myself from the space, But I did have a couple of friends at that point too, even tell me like the same things you're saying, the same thing Ron told me too, and was just like, nah, some of these people are just taking it far, because now it's becoming something where your race is the easiest thing to pick at and be like, you're just different and
Yeah,
you don't
it's
belong
low
here.
hanging fruit.
Yeah, it's really low hanging fruit. And at that point, I felt like I had already like really proven too that, I'm about the culture, dude. Like, I really do care about the culture. Like, when I first started skating, you can ask any of my friends out in Houston. I did not whip out my phone to record. I was putting my head down, and I wouldn't try to like draw attention to myself. I tried to be blend in as much, as I possibly could, and just learn. I would ask whoever was willing to help me. Like, and I got rejected a lot. It was a lot of people looking at me like, what the fuck is she doing here? She can't fucking skate. But the people that did, were willing to teach me a little 1-2, or were willing to just have me next to them for this little 1-2 and this little line dance. It was moments like that that started to, help me feel more like a part of the community and to learn too. And over time, I think people were more, once they saw too, as a whole, like the community, that I was really there to learn and be a part of the culture. I think that's when more people started to embrace me. Like, I'll never forget this. One of the girls that I know, I always thought we were cool, but she actually, and I appreciate that she said this. She came up to me one day and she was like, you know what, Bunny, I just have to tell you, when you first started skating and there was all that hate, when people didn't even know you, I'm not going to lie, I kind of jumped on the bandwagon just because it was, a couple people that I knew too saying that shit too. And I'm thinking, well, there must be a reason, right? They're saying this, even though I didn't know you. But now that I've gotten to know you and truly seeing you from that point till now, and how much you've progressed in and of itself, shows me like how much you really love skating. And you're really fucking about the culture. Because you would never, if you were not about the culture, you could not have gotten to this place with skating either. And that'll always stick with me. I really appreciate her for saying that. I told one of my other girlfriends, and she was like, man, fuck that. That's fake as fuck. And I was like, no, that was real as fuck. That was a vulnerable moment for her, too. She could have easily been like, just never told me that she didn't fuck with me in the first place. But to tell me that, in the beginning, she may have read things wrong, but now she like came around, it really like, it hit me. I was like, damn, okay, well, me putting my head down and letting my skates do the talking, I feel like it did work, you know
Oh,
having people come around was crazy. That's why, like, yeah, when it got to a point where I felt like there was actually people who like really support me in Houston, and I do feel that way, and they'll be like supporting me when I, have an opportunity and shit, and they'll be like, yeah, you're repping for Houston. I'm like, I don't think that those people realize just how much that means to me. I've cried, like I've gone home and cried after hearing that sometimes, because I'm like, you don't even know how it was sometimes to go from how it was before to then hearing like, damn, you're repping for Houston, Bunny. Like, yeah, when I was told, by a couple people before, like, you'll never represent Houston, you'll never be a part of this community. Like, it's really cool to, come around from that too. It's like a full circle moment, kind of.
no, that is a full circle moment.
Yeah,
Because if you think about where you started
yeah,
and think about where you're sitting
yeah,
and where you are in life, man,
yeah,
you could have given up a long time ago,
yeah,
but you didn't.
yeah,
You've gotten to do things that people could only dream of.
yeah,
And that's cool because guess what? There's a little girl in that other room
yeah.
that's going to see some shit like that and be like, guess what? I can do that too.
Oh my God, you're making me cry.
It's the truth.
And it's true. Like,
You know, that's
yeah.
what, that's the takeaway.
Mhm.
You know, it's like you got to walk so others can run.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's with anything.
That's what
So
keeps me going.
exactly.
I'm like, you know what?
Exactly.
I'm gonna rep, and I'm gonna keep representing.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what. You know what, Bunny? If you could talk to your younger self, what would you say? We'll end on that note.
Oh my god, that's a very loaded question.
Crazy, right?
Oh my gosh. Maybe just, you know what? Because I didn't always think this growing up, right? So I would probably tell my younger self, like, you deserve to take up space. You deserve to be here. You're gonna do really fucking cool things if you just keep being yourself, keep believing in yourself, and keep trying to spread joy. Because that's what I've always been trying to do with skating. So yeah, that's probably what I would say. And fuck the haters.
Exactly.
Fuck the haters. Fuck the noise.
And I want to thank you so much for coming out for this. I appreciate you, and I can't
Yeah.
wait to see where you go from here. All right.
Thank you so much for having me. This was amazing. My first podcast.
Hey, first of many,
First of many, yeah.
and we out.
We out.